These are the symbols of the 12 apostles. Each one has a special sign to help us remember them and their stories. This is Peter. Peter heard about Jesus from his brother Andrew. Peter's sign is the crossed keys and an upside-down cross. One time Jesus said to Peter that he was the rock on which he would build the church. He then said that he gave Peter the keys to the kingdom. When Peter was old, he went to be with the Christian people in Rome. It was against the law to be a Christian person in those days, and the soldiers caught him. When they were going to nail him to a cross like Jesus, Peter asked them to turn him upside down. He did not deserve to die like his Lord, he said. The soldiers did as he asked, and old Peter died on the cross too, but upside down. This is James. He and his brother John were fishermen, like Peter and Andrew. They worked for their father Zebedee. James learned about Jesus from his brother John, who learned about him when he was a disciple of John the Baptist. The two brothers, John and James, together with Peter, made up an inner circle of 3 very close friends of Jesus inside the group of the 12. The 3 were there when Jesus was praying on the mountain and when he was praying in the garden, but I'm afraid they went to sleep 3 times in the garden. The sign of James is 3 shells. He was the first apostle to be killed. King Herod Agrippa I had him executed. This is why a sword is also sometimes on his symbol. This is John. He is probably the one called the beloved disciple. John first learned about Jesus when he was with John the Baptist. Right away he told his brother James, and they both began to follow Jesus. Both brothers were fishermen. Their father's name was Zebedee. John is probably the one who wrote down the story of Jesus we call the Gospel of John. This is the symbol for John. On his shield are the cup and the snake. They help us remember how one time some people tried to put poison into his cup, but a snake came and drank it. The snake died to save John's life. Stories say that John was the only apostle who was not killed. He died on an island when he was an old man, full of years. Here is Andrew. We already know he is Peter's brother. Andrew was one of John the Baptist's disciples, but when John the Baptist showed Jesus to him, he went to get his brother Peter and they followed Jesus. Both Andrew and Peter were fishermen. Centuries ago, the people of Scotland liked Andrew so much that they made him the patron saint of Scotland. If you should ever go there, you will see his sign, the cross that looks like an X with a blue background. He died on a cross that was this shape. Philip is next. He was there when Jesus fed 5,000 men plus women and children. They were hungry for the truth about life, and Jesus told them. The truth is that people need each other and need to love each other. Jesus shared a little bread and fish with all those people to show this in a way so they could understand and yet keep thinking about it. Jesus was like that. Philip's sign has 2 loaves of bread on it to remember that day when so many were fed with the bread of truth, plus the cross as well. This is Bartholomew. His name means son of Ptolemy. He was told about Jesus by Philip after Jesus told Philip to follow him. This is Bartholomew's sign. He was killed by knives for telling the story of Jesus by people who did not yet understand. Here is Matthew. He was a tax collector from Capernaum until Jesus called him. Matthew followed Jesus and later wrote down his story of Jesus, the Gospel of Matthew. It is the first book in the New Testament. Here is Matthew's symbol. It has 3 money bags on it to help us remember that he was a hated tax collector before Jesus called him and Matthew found peace. This is Thomas. Thomas was the one who was always asking hard questions. He is sometimes called Doubting Thomas. His sign is a spear and a builder's square. This is what a builder uses to make square corners on buildings. Thomas went to India to tell people the story of Jesus, so he began to build the church in that part of the world. He was killed in India for telling the story. James the Less is next. People called him the Less because he was younger or maybe shorter than John's brother James. James the Less's sign is a saw. He was killed by a saw for telling the story of Jesus. Kings did not like to hear about following a king called Jesus, even though Jesus was a different kind of king. Here is Simon. He was a fighter for his people and for God's law, so he was called the Zealot. He was also a fisherman. The symbol of Simon is a fish and a book. The fish help us remember that he was a fisherman who became someone who fished for people to show them the truth about life. The book is the book of that truth. It stands for the Bible, and especially the story of Jesus written down there. This is Jude. His name almost sounds like Judas. The next to last book in the New Testament may be a letter by Jude. His symbol is a ship sailing because he went across the sea to tell the story of Jesus. Judas Iscariot was one of the 12 disciples, but not one of the 12 apostles. He betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. Sometimes the sign for Judas is a shield that is all black. Sometimes it has the 30 pieces of silver or a rope on it. I wonder if that is completely true. I wonder if Jesus forgave him. Matthias was chosen by the disciples to take the place of Judas. Matthias was well versed in the scriptures, depicted by a Bible in his emblem. After dauntless work as a missionary, he was beheaded with an axe, also shown on the emblem. These are the 12, the apostles, and these are their symbols. Now I wonder which one of the 12 you like best. I wonder which one was the most important. I wonder which one is most like you. I wonder what your symbol would look like. I wonder if we can leave any of the 12 out and still have all of this story that we need. Remember that you too get to take the light of Christ with you wherever you go.